Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course a whole lot of opinions about Byron's works in the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Ian.
Hey, I'm WeiryWriter of the Truthwatchers.
Also joining me is Evgeni.
Hi, I was uncertain of my loyalties last time.
Oh yeah?
But now I am. And I am certain that my loyalties lie with Yasna, but my Radiant Order is Stonewards.
Look, you can't, like academia, you should spread out into other disciplines. You can be a Stoneward, but still communicate a lot with the Else Scholars.
That is true. I feel like the body focus of the bone resonates strongly with me.
I'm sure it does. Also joining me is Grace.
Hello, I am Gator Girl. I'm actually not a Radiant, I'm a Spren.
Uh-huh. What is your Spren?
I am a Ink Spren.
I thought you were going to be a robot gator.
Oh, yeah, but we were doing the Radiant order things again this time, and
yeah.
Well,
it didn't fit.
You don't know the name of the Truthwatchers, friend. You could
It's
be
true.
robot gators. You don't know.
I highly doubt it's Robot Gator spread.
I highly doubt that you were correct in your doubt.
Yes. And lastly, we have David.
Hi, I'm Windrunner on the forums, back from my accidental transition to Shadesmar at the end of that last podcast.
You were literally so excited for getting Ashravan right that you hit your mic. Somehow that silenced your headphones and your mic.
Yep, I don't even know what happened. So, I'm back, though. And I'm excited to talk about 7 more Radiant Orders.
Shut up. Yeah, now you're just, yeah. And I am Chaos, and I think after the last conversation, though I am probably actually a bondsmith, I would prefer to be a Dustbringer, I think that would be my preferred order. But
Is it because you like pretty designs on pieces of wood?
yeah, I'm really into arts and crafts. Actually, no, I'm not. But
like personality-wise, I'm probably more of an Else Scholar, but I would want to be a Truthwatcher.
Right, yeah. See, I would probably be a bondsmith, but I want to be a Dustbringer. I just want to
You don't even know what Truthwatchers are or do.
But they're emerald,
Argent,
they see.
and they're learned. It's like a large part of who I am.
Okay. We're gonna talk about the Truthwatchers in a second, guys.
We've only got the invalid.
We're talking about Knights Radiant. We're gonna get on the Radiant bus. The Radiant bus? What?
We're taking no more detours. We're going straight to Earthero.
No detours. Straight to Earthero. Through the Oath
bus
Gate.
of Radiance.
Yes. We're not gonna walk from Ebabamar to Earthiru. We're gonna take a bus.
A Bama bar.
Whatever, man. Look.
I still want that t-shirt, by the way.
I don't need your facts getting in the way of a good anecdote, okay?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I should have known better.
I know. So we got through 3 Knights Radiant orders last time, but we did talk a lot about generic stuff with the Knights Radiant. So go listen to the last episode, and we are going to optimistically get through more this time.
We are
more than 3.
We can get through more than 3. I believe in us.
That is a true statement.
Look, we talked about so much generic Radiant stuff that would have been like an order or 2 on its own, right? Easy. Yeah, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
Look, yeah, it'll be fine. So, next up, we have the Edgedancers. They have abrasion and progression, and they slide on edges. I imagine that they're very good at,
ice skating.
If they're like skateboarding, down a railing, they're really good at that.
Have got
They-
balance, hopefully.
Wasn't there some description either in Words of Radiance or by Nail or something of them fighting on a rope or something and being all graceful and elegant?
That was Nail.
Yeah,
That
that was
was-
Lift interlude.
That's exactly what I was trying to remember. I know he was talking with Lift or to Lift and telling her how the real edge dancers were.
So graceful, yeah.
Graceful. I know. Hey, look, they use the word graceful a lot for
is-
the Edgedancers' grace.
Very convenient.
I like the Edgedancers as this kind of white knight. I mean, white is their color, so they
White
have this
is their
white
color,
armor.
yes.
But then they're also very much like, we're gonna remember the small people and like be all, you know.
Yeah.
Remember the forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way I've
Okay.
seen it is like they're the social workers of the
I mean,
of
yeah.
the Knights Radiant, where it's like they do fight for the small people.
Oh, hey, I should probably display the Knights Radiant chart. I'm glad I
Yes,
remembered
you
to do
should.
this now. That would be really bad. Yeah, no, I totally see that with the Edgedancers. We saw in the Gem archive that the Edgedancers were helping, like, evacuate Urithiru.
People leave the tower. Yeah.
Like resettle them.
Yeah, it's like there were no diamonds in the Gem Archive because they were all busy, like making sure all the people that lived in Urithiru were getting relocated. They didn't have
they were
time to
busy,
waste on
like,
this.
doing-
Like, okay, this is not important. It's like getting people to safety is.
I find it very interesting because abrasion and progression don't really feel like they can have any interesting combos.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of them, like with Windrunners, right? Full lashings are adhesion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
not gravitation. And so they're just all termed lashings. And with Dustbringers in my mind, I feel like abrasion and division could have a nice thematic combination. Whereas Edgedancers is just like, you're gonna have friction powers and you're gonna be able to heal people. Deal with it. It's just like, okay, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does feel kind of mismatched in a
Yeah.
way.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I really hope we do see more of, though, is I feel like progression gets abused as just like, oh, I can heal people, but they can do the whole plant growing thing too. So I'd like to
Yeah.
see some more creative uses of that, because I think that could be really cool. Like, a very flexible power if they're thinking about it. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just healing, it's progression, right?
It's the
Mhm.
passage
And-
of time.
Yeah, like I'm interested to see like what other powers progression has, because making plants grow and healing are also just like basic. I'm holding investiture. Like Stormlight on its own can do those things
That's true.
Mhm.
Slowly.
slowly.
Yes, definitely does it better than just default Stormlight.
Yeah.
So, an Edgedancer who is only sworn second oath, which is like we've established not necessarily the most powerful, can bring back someone who just died. So just think about like 5th level Edgedancer when they
Yes,
had
that's true.
full powers. Should
Call
be
heal
able
back
to
from
do
the beyond. Just like, oh,
Well, like that sort of thing, because it just happened and it was just like a cut.
Yeah.
It's like it's not that difficult. Like if you can heal the cut, like he wasn't brain dead yet.
well,
Yeah. Fully maxed out Edgedancer will probably. I don't think in the scope of the Cosmere that healing Gox was all that challenging.
Yeah.
Like with the right power, which is the power of regrowth, and in other worlds, Aeon Ini?
Beyond here.
Not Ini.
I
yeah.
Ain. That's right. You know
Only means
that.
wisdom for some reason.
Yeah.
don't get me started.
So with the right power, if the first death has just occurred, if the body and the mind have separated recently, and if the now newly created cognitive shadow is still lingering around, then just pulling them back together, probably not that difficult.
But I don't even think Gox was at that point yet.
I don't
I'm
either.
looking right now just to see.
I mean, I feel like it's an instantaneous, hey, if the body dies, you are on the other side.
Death is defining what death is. It's not as sharp of a line generally.
Yeah.
If you like read medical stuff, determining time of death is really weird.
That's fair.
So that's just why I don't think it's necessarily instantaneous, because death is a process.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, they didn't note it. He seemed to have stopped bleeding, but that's not necessarily, like, it's not like he was gone. Like, it doesn't make it sound like he's gone. Like,
Yeah, it's like his heart had
Yeah.
stopped,
yes,
but that's
Yeah.
not death.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fine.
I-
But either way, I don't think that was a big of a as big of a challenge as
Agreed.
to like the viziers around.
Sure.
And so somebody who's level 3, level 4, level 5, yes, they would be. I mean, that's what they are.
I mean, they are. They are. I know. It's just funny.
They would obviously be able to do the same, probably with less investiture, probably with a wider kind of time window between the quote unquote death of the person and the regrowth. But they might also be, as they become more powerful, they might be able to do it from distance, do it to more people,
Mass healing.
restore mass healing,
Party
yeah,
healing.
mass
Yeah.
resurrection.
Power word heal.
Have them. I'm just saying words so I can remember what I was gonna say.
Do we think they would have the ability to bring someone back who'd been killed by a shard blade, or do you think that seems like a too permanent type?
I would
death?
say so.
I think like a
I
high level edge dancer
don't
could potentially
think
do
so.
that.
I think if Kaladin can heal himself with just Stormlight,
That's a very different thing.
is it?
Because it's just like the spirit web is still there. It's just reestablishing the connections.
When the
From
eyes
the- of
burn,
the
like
spirit web
something's
in
being
the hand,
cut. That's
too.
really bad, right? Like,
Whereas,
it's like
like,
a soul death type thing, nearly.
yeah,
It's not
All I'm saying
good.
is,
Okay.
and before Brandon changed the end of Words of Radiance, Seth had been killed by a shard blade and resurrected via Fabrial. So I feel like
Okay, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
that's true.
That is true.
That's a very good point.
But what did Peter say about the canonicity of that?
I believe it is canonical still, and Brandon wishes he'd been able to work in a way to show that was possible, if I'm
Yeah.
recalling correctly.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
Okay, I
Good to know.
retract what I was saying before.
I was with you though, Ian. Like the eyes burning, it felt like a very serious type thing.
you almost convinced me, and then I was like, I had a reason I believed this.
But it's just like, but the Radiance would be killing fused with shard blades too, and those are still around.
Oh
so
right, yeah, right. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Definitely cannot bring back people killed by Nightblood. I will say
yeah.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I think we can agree on that.
Well,
Because
yeah,
shard
right.
blades just separate. Like
Yeah.
if you just cut off somebody's arm with a shard blade, you're just severing the connections in the spirit web, but obviously those connections can be restored. If you
Yeah.
kill somebody with a shard blade, you are probably completely separating the soul from the body.
Yeah.
And so
sure,
it's less about rekindling those connections or reestablishing those connections and more about actually like bringing those two together. But when Nightblood enters the picture, you are completely
You're
obliterating the
vaporizing
soul.
that crap.
Yeah.
And or
Yeah.
consuming it.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're probably never going to find out, but I wonder if a 5th level edge dancer could heal a Parshman before the Everstorm.
That's interesting.
I think you'd need more spiritual stuff, honestly.
I think you'd need Odium's investiture.
I don't think so.
I kind of doubt.
No.
I kind of don't either.
I don't think the Edge Dancers could do it. Maybe the Truthwatchers,
Maybe
because they're
irrelevant.
like the kind of the opposite pole of Bondsmiths. So I'm expecting there to be some weirdness with them. But
Maybe the corresponding order of fused that use progression. I don't know.
I'm just wondering, like, how much spiritual web healing can they do? Because that's what healing a shard blade cut is, which
Well, that's true.
yeah,
connection. So
specifically, it's not that something was ripped out of
Yeah.
their spirit webs, and I don't know if simple healing would. Well, I guess Gold Furukami would heal hemalurgy damage. So I don't know. I just think you would need an external source of investiture to rebuild that part of the spirit web that I don't think strict healing would necessarily have.
I
Yeah.
think it's a good question for Brandon.
Yeah.
Because we don't really still even understand the mechanics that well. Of we know like what happened to the slingers. We don't really understand like why,
How?
Why
Yeah.
and how. Yeah, like how some of that could be possible.
Or like how, yeah, we just know what the Everstorm did to
Mhm.
connection refounded, identity restored, right? Like
Something like that. Yeah.
how did that happen, right? Like in a mechanical level, it's just like it did. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that progression really fits the ideals of the Edgedancers of like remembering those who'd be forgotten and like helping people. Like that's a very much progression.
And one of their divine attributes is healing.
Oh, right.
They're
Convenient.
loving and healing.
Well, yeah, that fits pretty well.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
In that case, then it's like, wait, what about the whole edge dancing part? Like that's the one. In that sense, abrasion is like the odd one out in theme.
Yeah,
in some
That's true.
respects,
Cool.
Which is like kind of like their signature power, almost. You would think, but yeah.
it's in the name.
Yeah.
That's
But then again, like wind running doesn't have to do with protecting, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
flying in
Yeah.
the sky has
Mhm.
nothing really to do with
Yeah.
protecting people. So
Yeah, I think
And it's more fun to name out themselves after their flashy combat powers.
well,
than
that's
it's like,
certainly true.
oh yeah, we can heal people real good.
instead of the
Yeah.
love makers.
Yeah.
The love dancers, am I right?
I've always kind of liked, for like a thematic thing for the Edge Dancers, abrasion as kind of like we're smoothing the way between people and like different groups.
All
and
right. I like that. I mean, again, these abilities don't need to be connected with what the ideals are, right?
Yeah,
No.
I think the way we need to like look at it is kind of like Brandon likes to make the thematic things like work if possible, but it's not always going to be there. So it'll be
Yeah.
it's like
Sure.
cool when he can make
Yeah.
it work, but it's not necessarily like a 1-to-1 in every order. We're gonna be like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's just like
no.
Lift's lucky sphere is a diamond,
Ooh,
Yeah.
which is the
Then
Edge
she-
Dancer gem.
And then she
but-
spent it, so could have been too lucky.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of interesting ways to use abrasion and progression together, and I'm like, they feel
Yeah.
very disparate,
I get a feeling there's like some spiritual or cognitive application that will work together.
Spiritual abrasion.
But yeah, it's like I can't think of it.
Mm.
Which
Yeah.
it makes sense that if you're trying to make them all thematically, eventually you're going to run out of things that fit together.
yeah.
That you're going to have one that's like, okay, these have to go together because they're the only ones left.
Like,
Right.
Mhm. That kind of works, yeah.
You don't have to run into that. Like, it is possible that there is a combination out there that we just can't think of right now.
I'm sure.
But it's just like
Especially considering
these
how-
other two go together better than like these two would go together. So it's just like this is like the most put together version
Uh-huh.
that any other combination would be less put together.
Okay, sure.
Like some pairings are just gonna fit better than others, like inherently.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you could make the Edge Dancer pairing work better, but that means like some others are going to work worse.
Sure.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like I
Sure,
can see it
fine.
like in a situation where they're fighting in like a natural area and they're using like plants to slow down other people's mobility, and they're like a lot faster and more graceful than everyone else. That's all I can like think of. Like, there's not an
Yeah.
obvious like, oh, this is how these two work.
Oh, I was gonna say, I do think I've seen the idea thrown out before of them as kind of battlefield medics using the abrasion to quickly move through the like
Yeah.
troops healing
Mhm.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually what just popped in my head when I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. One thing to note is that Edge Dancers bond cultivation spren. And I will say, like, abrasion and progression, that kind of feels okay for cultivation spren to have. The abrasion's
Yeah.
a little
I-
weird, but
More progression.
For
than-
sure,
than a-
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I've kind of like let go of like the whole honor spren, cultivation spren significance beyond just they liked those names. I don't feel like those two orders are particularly like aligned with anything. You know,
Yeah,
like,
it's
I feel
like
like the bondsmiths
the
are like
spread are the
honor
most closely
central.
aligned to the shards, but that doesn't mean the order necessarily
absolutely.
is.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
Mhm.
because the
Yeah.
bondsmith are the most spiritually. Well, We'll talk about the bondsmiths.
Eventually, maybe even in this episode. One thing about the Edgedancers that also comes from the Gemstone Archive is that unlike, or so the line suggests, unlike other orders, the Edgedancers seem to be an order without a home. There is so the Windrunners, the soldiers of the Knights Radiant, come from Alethela. There's the Windrunner who meets Heb and is like, "Hey, you can fight good. If you want to learn how to do that better, come to Alethela." But then the line in the Gemstone Archive says, "Well, all of the orders went back to the kingdoms they came from, but what about the Edgedancers?"
I honestly kind of don't
home?
remember that. Maybe I'm.
That's
I must have
never-
I
missed that.
vaguely remember that.
I remember that
Well-
line, but that's not how I read it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I thought like
Yeah.
Alethela was like a common source for all orders of Radiance, where people were going to be doing some sort of fighting in general.
Research
interpreted-
time.
I interpreted that line to be, oh, these Radiants are from all over Roshar, and like their home countries will happily accept them back because they have these powers. But like,
What about
there
the
are these
regular
common people who most likely grew up and have lived in this city their entire lives. Where are they going to go?
So the Edgedancers are too busy relocating the tower's servants and farmers to send a representative to record their thoughts in these gemstones. I'll do it for them then. They're the ones who will be most displaced by this decision. The Radiants will be taken in by nations, but what of all these people now without homes?
I'm thinking that refers to
The people
the
they were
servants
helping.
and the
Yeah.
farmers that
Yeah.
their families have lived in Earth Theory for
Right.
centuries. Like
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
have any other place to go.
Okay, yeah, you're probably right about that.
Yeah, I concur.
Mhm.
Because they're like saying, oh yeah, the Radiants, they'll be fine, right?
I do enjoy like the disparity between how the ancient Edgedancers were described as really like refined and like proper people,
Yeah.
if dangerous, and then we've got Lift, who's about the most, I don't know, she's like
This
the
is
most
awesome.
street savvy character of
Well,
our main cast.
it's Brandon's usual, let's make deliberate contrasts, right? As writing.
They said,
Something I've seen on this is that the public perception of the Edgedancers is that they were very elegant and refined.
Yeah.
mhm.
Whether or not they actually were, especially since one of my theories is that about their resonance is that they have an enhanced ability to communicate.
Right.
Oh,
Is
that
that so?
theory.
Like that could
true,
help them
yeah.
give this air of being elegant and refined.
Yeah.
But then they could go and be really rowdy with the farm hands, and they can adapt to the situation.
Okay.
Sure,
Maybe
I can
Lift
see
needs to
that.
work on that a little bit still, probably.
Well, first of all, Lift's gonna be awesome in back 5 to see her like actually
yeah.
grow up, and like that's gonna be so cool,
Mhm.
in my opinion. But
Yeah.
another thing that is interesting, Lift is a very unique individual, and other Edgedancers, will feel
Not be like her.
Mhm.
yeah. Lift is
Yeah.
very unique, and so that's
She
important to
is.
remember.
Mhm.
And I think that as she matures, like she might exhibit more common edge dancer attributes.
Sure.
Oh, for sure.
But she's had a very unique childhood.
Mhm.
There, you could say there would be perhaps a friction between her and her orders.
Yes, and she will progress.
And she'll need to use spiritual abrasion to rub those, to make that friction go away. Easy.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Another thing to like note is that I think this is where we start getting, like, as we move around the Radiant chart, a little bit out of the region where the Radiants are more focused on being warriors and start getting where
Absolutely.
we would start
Yeah.
seeing edge dancers like Wendell was looking at Yim and like an elderly grandmother to bond, where they might not be in a directly combat role, they might be more scholarly, they might be more,
Yeah,
like it's easy to think of the Radiants as just warriors, but like they were not.
it is.
Yeah.
They were definitely the edge dancers. I could almost see them being their combat role almost assassins, even.
Mm.
Like they can go in, kill someone quick, and go out, like, weren't they said that they were very deadly?
They did say they were deadly. I would think Lightweavers more for assassins.
Yeah, it's just
Well,
like
I guess
ones
that's
with
true.
actual illusion magic.
Yeah,
would work
okay, yeah,
better
you're
than
right.
assassins.
I almost see Edgedancers as like army therapists. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, like they're dealing with a lot of stuff going on, and like I'm sure a lot of the soldiers have seen horrible things they can never forget. And like the Edgedancers, you go to the Edgedancers and you like talk about it, and you know they make you feel better.
I will listen to you.
Though that also ties into like the Lightweavers. It's just like because that they kind of helped with like the spiritual like sustenance.
Yeah,
of
that's
the
true.
Army to, like,
That is true.
give them a reason to fight or to.
Yeah.
I see Lightweavers as more inspiring people
Oh, yeah, that's a
to
good
be the
Okay.
best they can, whereas the Edgedancers are more like kind of, you know, I'm going to sit here and listen to your problems.
Like helping with like
yeah, that's a
trauma or
good distinction.
The
I like that.
Lightweavers, like Shallan did that, right?
Yeah.
With like when they were in the caravan and they inspired
Bluth.
the-
and Elhokar even.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anything else on Edgedancers? Do we want to make some oath predictions?
I will smell those who have BO. I don't know.
That could be an individualized one for Liv, though.
Yeah.
So
Grace,
for
you have
completeness'
weird-
sake, Maya Lauren,
Yes.
Adolin's deceased Shardblade,
Correct.
was a cultivation spell.
That is correct.
Mhm.
Deceased-ish.
Well, as deceased as
Deceased.
Spren could be.
Like, she's dead. Death
She's-
just means something different for Spren.
Right.
It means less to her than other Shardblades.
Well, right.
Yeah. Death is reversible for Spren. She's still
Oh.
dead.
Does Spren go to the Beyond when they die? That's a whole thing.
No.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, that's a whole different thing. We move on.
Yeah. So listening to those who have been ignored, I mean, the third ideal didn't really qualify too much on the second ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Because the
Yeah.
first one was, I will remember those who've been forgotten. And the third was, I will listen to those who have been ignored.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of, it's just like, oh, they're kind of building on each other. Because it's also, they both reference people who aren't the focus. One through
Sure.
happenstance, one through active intent.
I
I-
would not have phrased it like that. I would say they
That's a
just
bad way of explaining it, but like,
expand.
Expanding, yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
So you're covering this group, and now you're covering this group, and now let's cover Grace.
So, I just had a thought. So, to me, I mean, so remembering the forgotten is like, okay, like I remember they're there, and then listening is like, okay, I hear you, and like
Okay.
I understand where you're coming from.
Okay.
So, what if sort of the next one is moving on to it like an even more active role? Like, I will
Sure.
fight for those who have like, I mean, like I don't know how to phrase
No,
it, but
I think I
I
get
will
what you're
fight
saying.
for those who like have no one else to fight for them, sort of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see something like that.
Like each oath is kind of a step in taking more of an active role in these people's lives.
Yeah, I do like that because
Mhm.
yeah, remembering is pretty passive, you know.
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
some
that'd be
sense.
cool. I kind of think personally that, like, as we learn more about the Radiance, like, in Words of Variance, it became clear that, like, the Lightweavers did not have traditional oaths, and now we know that Skybreakers have a lot more flexibility. And I would not be surprised if the Edgedancers had some as well in, like, their later oaths, if it might not have been as codified as, say, the Windrunners or the Bondsmiths might be.
I do think that because we were referring to how, you know, the different halves of the Night Radiant chart, right? I actually expect the ones on the bottom half, the more cultivation-y ones, to actually be more individualistic.
More organic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would actually think that is very sensible. Lightweavers is very individualistic. I would expect Truthwatchers and Edgedancers to have a big facet of individualism in their oaths.
Yep. Which does make it a little bit of ironic that we are going to eventually get to Else Scholars, of whom we know Yasna, whose very organized and scholarly nature would suggest something closer to like the Windrunners
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think that
But-
it needs to be 1-to-1 for sure, but
It's like we have the
No, it
Skybreakers
doesn't.
with some flexibility on theirs and their top.
it's just
half.
like Lightweavers'
Yeah.
extreme flexibility.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're the most flexible.
Shalan is very flexible.
Okay, time to go on to Truthwatchers. Hey, remember when we said before we started this recording, we don't have that much to talk about with the Edgedancers?
I'm
30
sorry.
minutes later.
I'll eat my
bad.
words.
It's bad.
The Truthwatchers are going to be a problem because we kind of don't know actually that much about them because our only example is
we
Well,
have
we have two examples.
two, yes.
We
Eam
have
Oh.
Stump.
real.
and
We do have
Stump.
Stump.
Eam and Eam, however you pronounce his name, and
Eam.
Stump were
Yeah.
both
I-
Truthwatchers.
I say Yim.
Yim.
Yeah,
Yum.
Yum.
They get progression and illumination.
Mhm.
And our main Truthwatcher, Renarin, kind of has a pretty big asterisk on him.
Yeah.
May or may not be a truth watcher, really. Or may or may not be representative of what the truth watchers were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I think there was a wob about like Renarin's oaths and whether or not they were the same.
There was.
I thought it
And
was
they
a
were
Ravo.
different.
Oh, they're different? Oh, I missed that.
There will be. I think
Cool.
it was said that there will be differences.
I'm
think
so
that's
hoping
what
we
it was
see
like.
him swear them in his flashbacks when we eventually get to that. But
Mhm.
Also,
Like
again,
7.
Renarin 10, 15 years from now being a total BA guy, I'm in. That sounds amazing. Like Renarin's viewpoints when we got them at the end of Oathbringer, once the reveal was finally out, it was really fun to read, and it's gonna be great.
Seeing Renarin, we're gonna turn this section into a Renarin episode.
We don't have Feather
It-
or Shannon
It
this
cannot
time.
be a Renarin episode,
Because
but
Feather's
contractually. We can
That's right.
discuss it, but it cannot be a Renarin episode.
That's true. Well, again, like Renarin, we've talked about Renarin a number of times, especially right after
Yeah.
Oathbringer came out.
Mhm.
Hasn't been for a while, I think. Yeah, Truthwatchers are weird, and with Renarin saying at the end of Words of Radiance, "Oh, what can you do? I see." Well, like,
So I actually have an idea about this.
yes,
Is that whereas the Windrunners to a certain extent and the Edgedancers are very like focused on like small scale, like the individual people being affected, Truthwatchers see the big picture. Like they are the strategists on the back lines, like
strategists.
playing out the strategy for the battle. Like they look at everything in context.
I like that because when we hear about the strike force to buy to Mishram in Emeralds, the Truthwatchers strategy was in an emerald.
Which
But
so
they-
then it makes sense that like a Truthwatcher with some odious investiture gets to see the future. And it's like that's just more like playing field, it's like more context.
yeah,
Sure.
like a natural fusion between what Odium's power brings and what they already like to do.
Mm,
Yeah.
I do not like that.
Why?
One of the reasons is so I think the thing with Battle Mishram you brought up was mostly for thematic purposes, but I think they just report that hey, there are those among the Radiants who are gonna go do that or
Well-
are thinking about doing that.
The impression that I always had is a coalition has been formed among the Scholar Radiants, our goal. Like, they're doing stuff. It's not just a report. They're very active in this process.
Okay, sure, but it's a coalition among scholars.
Well, that's true, but I just feel like that high level strategy of, oh hey, we need to defeat Bad and Mishram, prevent the Void Lights because this fighting on the ground, that's kind of dumb. That's like a high level strategic viewpoint, which just reminded me what Ian was saying. That's all. That's
Sure.
all I was saying.
Sure. Okay. But another reason I don't like that is we see Renarin at least a couple of times when interacting with other characters kind of peers through lies and deception, or at least get a feeling that something shady is going on. So
Yes.
very early on, when the murders in the Tower City happen,
Yep.
It looks like Renarin suspects Adolin, or
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
gets a bad vibe from his brother.
He
Obviously
knows that
doesn't say
Adolin is
anything.
not telling the truth, at least.
Yeah. He knows something's going on, and
Something's
so
going on, at least.
yeah, in that context, the name Truthwatcher
Yes.
and their description, or at least his description of IC, fits a lot more closely.
See,
right?
I don't think that necessarily. I think that could work with what I'm saying,
I think it could too.
because it's
It
like
could.
I know Alex and I both think that their resonance is the ability to discern truth from lies, but in order to see the big picture, to make a good judgment, full context, it's like you have to know what is true.
I don't disagree. I don't think there is a need for your interpretation.
You just don't think
Okay.
there needs to be an order
An
that are those
entire-
strategies.
Yes,
And-
yes. Unless they're the bondsmiths, I can give it to the bondsmiths.
Yeah,
Well-
it does kind of get into the Windrunner / Bondsmith territory, which is already
Well,
kind of an overlap.
Well, there's a difference between strategy and tactic. Like
Yes.
strategy is like the back plan. Tactics is like, okay, how do we take the strategy and apply it to this situation?
Well,
Yeah.
that's how I see Bondsmith's strategy, Windrunner's tactics. Like that's
Okay.
kind of how I viewpoint.
Same.
Like I see it. Like the Windrunners are on the front lines, the Bondsmiths are in the back, keeping the factions happy. They're keeping like the direction we need to go going. They're setting priorities.
Okay, how about like the bondsmiths set the strategy, but the Truthwatchers advise on it?
I mean,
I think they definitely
they
were
are
the big
bondsmiths.
advisors. Yeah, like I think they were definitely I don't think the Truthwatchers were unimportant at all. Like I think they're probably very critical, but I just can't. I don't know what their role is myself.
Yeah,
I've always kind of thought of the Truthwatchers as, I mean, based on their placing and based on kind of what we've seen of them, a mix of the more scholarly elf scholar with but very grounded in that more edge dancery kind of empathetic what do the people need things. So I imagine them as in these coalition of scholars, the Truthwatchers were the ones who were okay, yes, all of this information is important, but what do the people need? How can we use this knowledge to really help them?
So
Kind
the
of-
Yasnas
kind
of the world don't commit genocide.
Yeah.
Bridging,
yeah.
bridging the gap between the hard logic and facts of the elf scholar and the empathy and sympathy of the edge dancers.
Yes.
I-
And I'm sure they had other roles, but that's
Yeah,
kind
and
of
it's I'm sure that we're I am assigning each order a role,
Right.
but they could have had multiple roles.
Well,
for
true.
sure.
I mean, I think thinking about the roles is interesting because, Stonewards, frontline soldiers, okay, great, makes sense.
Yeah.
Windrunners, scouts, makes sense. They can fly and get out of situations very easily, and yeah, that makes sense. And so, or the idea of edge dancers either being combat medics or, therapy type things. You're okay, that you would need in a war effort, and so having a role, I think, is useful in grounding what they are.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
they're not all
Let
like
me-
that, obviously.
Yeah. Let me frame this in this way. When we talk about roles, we talk about roles in a specific context, and usually we talk about roles in the context of war because we kind of see all the Radiant Orders as kind of necessary in war. That's one of their primary roles.
Yep.
And so in this context, each combination of two surges and maybe attributes and tendencies and things like that lends itself to certain activities, certain roles very well.
Certain specializations.
Yeah. So sure, you could have the Windrunners are perfectly fine as soldiers, especially with their, dozens of squires, especially with
Right.
the abilities they have, and like their ability to go above or under enemy troops and things like that. So in many ways, they are similar to the Stone Lords, but their combination of abilities and just who they are, personalities, makes them the best scouts. And so we often talk about them in the context of scouts. And
I'm
so,
with you.
yes,
Yeah.
all of these orders could be doing a number of different things. But when we talk about the role or the purpose of a given order, we're often talking about, in the context of war, what is the best, like, what is the one thing that this order can do that none of the others can do anywhere near as well.
Mhm.
Lightweavers are your spies. They can make
So-
solutions and stuff.
Or your map makers.
Well.
Don't tell Ash and I. Yes, he-
I don't think I can anymore.
Oh, snap.
So circling a little back to the powers, something that we don't have a data point on from either Stump or Renarin, if I can recall correctly. Renarin can't make illusions. Do we think illusions in a regular, I'm forgetting the name, Truthwatcher, work like we see Shallan make illusions, or do we think that Renarin is being weird because whatever's going on with him, or do we think illusions manifest differently in Truthwatchers?
I think a regular Truthwatcher can. I think Renarin doesn't have access to illumination.
Can Renarin actually not, or have we just not seen him?
You haven't
He's
seen
tried a
it.
bunch. He's
Like-
tried, like he's had Shallan try to teach him. He's failed every time. He cannot do it as it stands right now.
Well,
I think a regular Truthwatcher can make illusions. I think they probably use the powers differently.
Yeah.
I think so as well. Lightweavers definitely probably use illusions for more subterfuge things or inspiration. I mean, it doesn't always have to be subterfuge, right?
Mhm.
But that connects with lies, right? That's a very Lightweavery thing.
Yeah, it's like illumination is light weaving the power. Like
Right. Yeah.
it-
Yeah.
light weaving is illusion magic. That's kind of what it does.
Yeah.
You could also probably like shoot laser beams with it,
Yeah, probably.
but I don't think that's
we're
a
gonna see
core
that.
Truthwatcher
Yeah.
power.
Ah, yes. In
What?
Oathbringer, or sorry, not Stormlight 10 Part 2, the movie, when Odium and Renarin shoot laser beams at each other.
No, they have
From
the
their wands.
Superman,
From their blades. Easy.
Superman versus General, whatever his name is, like the
Zod.
Zod.
the fight with the two laser eye beams.
That's in a lot of things. Yeah.
So
Yeah, like that.
one moment that I've always found interesting that I think is in some way a regular Truthwatcher power is in Oathbringer Part 1, when Renarin heals Adolin.
Yep.
Adolin gets a glimpse of his perfect self.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like they can use it to show others what they see.
That
Kind of.
well,
I
don't know
I
don't
about
really-
that.
I don't really know how that ties in, but I think that was maybe in some way connected to their powers. I don't know.
it felt very illumination.
It did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My read on that was completely different, but
What was
because I
your
kind
read?
of, I don't think we've seen a character like a POV character healed by another character before that I can recall, like from their perspective. From the perspective of the person who's being healed.
Dalinar gets healed in one of the flashbacks.
That's a flashback, so I don't know how that would
Well,
work.
in one of the visions, I mean, one of the visions.
That's what I'm saying. Though. Like the visions, like I'm gonna leave the visions out as an example because I kind of think that it's all in his head anyway. So I don't know how
Well, I mean,
how much we can look at the mechanics.
Zeth.
Yeah, technically,
But he doesn't
Seth.
have, his body has not been damaged in reality. Is what I'm saying. So he's not being healed.
But Zeth.
But we didn't see Zeth. Okay, I'm just gonna get to what I'm gonna say. We have not seen a conscious person get healed in real life by another one. And so in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, Renarin heals Adolin, taps into the perfect spiritual ideal of who Adolin's supposed to be. Adolin gets a glimpse of that as
Okay.
he's being healed, and that's what he sees.
Okay, that's fair.
That's entirely possible. But that could also
it's
be
kinda
the
boring,
interaction between progression and illumination.
Yeah, no,
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
like I think it'd be much more interesting if it was something else. It was just like when I read it the first time, that's how I saw it.
Well, the interesting idea with the Truthwatchers being if they do have that ability to use illumination to show people their perfect self, we were just talking about how the Lightweavers give that spiritual sustenance, and we were talking about how they inspire. If if the Truthwatchers can do that, then I feel like that's a Truthwatcher thing, right?
True.
Rather than a Lightweaver thing. In some respects.
Another noteworthy thing is that the same way the Bondsmiths have a weird location in the Double Eye,
Yes.
the Truthwatchers mimic that.
They do.
And so it is entirely possible that in the same way that the Surges can work differently for a Bondsmith, that they also can work differently for a Truthwatcher. And so they have access to the regular things. Obviously, Renarin has access to regrowth. Obviously, Dalinar has access to sticking a wall to a wall type of sticking a chair to a wall. Although he could also stick a wall to whatever. Okay, don't worry about it. So they have access to the regular quote unquote surges, but they can also do more with them than others.
A spiritual illumination or something rather than like illusions.
Sure.
So you're saying that the rest of the orders can't do that? They're restricted to the physical applications? Physical?
I don't
I'm
know
not
if I
gonna
like
say
that, but
restricted.
Neither do I.
I will say that those two specifically have access to... Okay, let me phrase this. The Bondsmiths and the Truthwatchers can do more with the surges available to them than any other order can do with those same surges.
But how is that any different than, like, surges work different for different orders?
I don't think the difference is anywhere near as... I think Windrunners and Skybreakers will use gravitation very similarly. Let's throw a number there. Let's say 80% the same way. Whereas Windrunners and Bondsmiths will only use or adhesion, I guess, 50% the same way. Just
like a larger disparity.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
it is just interesting looking at the chart that we have here that the ones that are very different, that are actually inside this ring of surges,
They're
the two pupils in the eye.
are the Bondsmiths and Truthwatchers. So I think there could be special things there. Maybe. I mean, it's really hard to know because our Bondsmith example is very special and our Truthwatcher example is very special, and we know even less about the Truthwatcher.
Yes.
So it's so hard to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keep us on our toes, Brandon.
I know.
But, like, I don't necessarily know if that's tied to, like, the cognitive and spiritual applications.
Maybe, but I think it is possible that Truthwatchers do use illumination very differently. It is also possible Renarin literally just cannot use it as Shallan does. There's a lot of weirdness with Renarin proper with his stuff, let's say.
Yeah.
He'll work out. He's got a whole year.
So this
to
also
work
ties
out.
into, like, Radiance picking up one power more easily than the other.
True. And we haven't even touched his visions.
Oh my gosh.
Yes,
That-
those are... Well, we did touch on them, technically, because I brought them up.
Yes.
But
I mean, that is not a Radiant thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it is. And that's why I am in the camp of believing that Renarin's regrowth or Renarin's progression is the same as any other Truthwatcher's progression. And his illumination is something
Void
unseen
version
before.
or something.
see, I'm more inclined to
Sorry.
think his visions are his version of the Truthwatcher souped up or whatever.
So do you?
So
What do you
a normal Truthwatcher would not get the future visions.
But they would have some sort of vision in your, or just like
I don't know.
okay.
They would have a resonance. Oh no, because I've been saying he has a Truthwatcher, so I can't say that.
There was that one Truthwatcher, like the small emerald in whatever
Oh
drawer.
yes.
I
Yes.
can't say
Yeah.
it. I must whisper. I foresaw this. Wait, there's another
Yeah.
one. I don't know the full quote.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got you.
That
See-
one has never made sense to me.
See, that
Nope.
just ties back in my head to that my increasingly unlikely theory that I feel like Shanna could always corrupt Radiant Spren. That's why they were so afraid of her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
I agree. And so, yeah, you said it correctly. A particularly small emerald. Also, by the way, in the same drawer as all the Mishram stuff in 3020.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was
And
slipped
so
in
the-
there,
the-
hidden.
Yeah.
The implication is that is what the Radiant foresaw.
Was everything that
Yeah.
went wrong there.
Yeah.
You should have said, maybe probably should have said something, but
Seeing of
Hey,
the
guys, I had
future
an
is of the
idea.
enemy.
you just pretend though. I had an idea that this might do something
Well,
terrible.
the thing is
I
that
had my
they're
own theory.
they're so afraid of future sight, you know?
Mhm. But you just presented it as your own idea. You're like, I've got a concern, guys, that I can't do independently.
Yeah,
this might go poorly.
The thing is, when Hoyd says future sight is very dangerous, like, I'm sure they have some very compelling reasons to, like, not trust that
Well,
stuff.
I know. That's why I'm
that
confused.
scene.
Yeah, I'm curious because in the past I didn't think future sight was that big a deal, and now it seems like it is.
I think it was always a big deal. Like, there's
Well, I
no
suppose-
reason why culturally people would be like, oh yeah, we can't try and have games that predict the future because that's a bad stuff. Like,
Oh, I meant,
that's
like-
been a long time.
I meant more Cosmere wide, like with
Oh,
like
okay.
the Elantrian living on the margins of society because he can't do future sight either with his magic. Like it's not odium, it's something. You know,
No. So, okay.
we're kind of off topic again. but-
Within, yes, but whatever. Within Roshar, the problem is that future sight originates with the enemy. That's what we know from the death rattles.
It's heavily associated with the enemy.
Yes.
That is, we are told in Oathbringer that is the origin of, I think it was in Mythica, where she says, yes, we are now all afraid of future sight because it is of the enemy, but it is from the death rattles that this comes from. So originally, seeing the future was in fact 100% of the enemy, and therefore all of this cultural baggage where we go the other extreme and we don't try to predict the future in any way, shape, or form, because by implication that puts us with the enemy.
Well, that is a Hesse hypothesis for sure. Hesse is
Yeah.
not correct in
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, it's like
Fair.
many of the unmade are associated with foretelling the future is
Actually, it says
along
all
the
of them.
lines. Huh?
I think it said all of them in that book. All of them have some association with future sight or
Okay.
prediction. Yeah.
But like cultivation, like, is good at foretelling the future. I feel like
True.
that might not be reflected in her powers, but like the Surgebinding powers derived from her.
Yeah.
But so it's not like not all future sight is of the enemy. A hell of a lot of it is. So it's like don't trust any of it because
I'm
like
not-
who knows for sure.
I'm not saying that all of it is. I'm saying that Roshar, that is why they believe that it's bad, and therefore, Ryanos, like the reason they don't like him is because of that. It's not because they are concerned that he's using Odium's investiture to see the future. It's because he is seeing the future. Period.
And they're just biased against that due to those cultural reasons.
It doesn't matter like how he does it.
He's in Shadesmar, though. That's my thing. Like I still
he's
think the
doing
Spren
their own
I don't
thing.
think the Spren would have the same hangups that the humans have culturally when they probably have a better understanding of what's
Yeah,
going
it's
on.
like the fact that he is able to do it at all. Like I don't think that's as much of a hang up in.
Yeah, like no
Shadesmar.
humans going, oh well, it's just interaction with Odium's essence. You know, like they just go, oh, future sight. But like the Spren know what they're comprised of. They know a lot more than the people do, and they treat it the same way.
Let's steer back to Earth era with the Truthwatchers.
Small detour.
The Radiant bus.
On the Radiant bus.
Or the
We're
Radiant
very
Navane
glowing.
ship.
What do you have any other thoughts on the Truthwatchers? It's so hard to say what the actual Truthwatchers are because
Because
Yeah.
who knows, right?
yeah.
One thing that I was wondering is whether Gliss is an actual Truthwatcher spread.
Yes,
I think
Well,
so, yeah.
corrupted.
At one point.
Yes.
I see no
Yeah,
reason
yes.
to think otherwise.
Because I don't know why he would have told Windrunner he was a Truth Watcher if he was like, I'm actually a
That's
corrupted
true.
Ink Spren. You know, like he's like, got him. But
he's getting a lot of information from Gliss. So I think
He seems to
that's
not remember a
possible.
lot, but yeah.
Well, I mean,
And
like Gliss, right?
And I also think that he is visually similar enough to what we are told Truthwatchers Spren are, except in the same way that we see Corrupted Spren in Kolinar, and how they are similar to their original forms, but kind of more sharp and
Really?
twisted and
Huh.
red in many cases.
Because that was like the opposite of my perception of it, was that I thought he was unusually different.
I thought he was
Then-
unusually different as
Yeah,
well.
he's a red snowflake.
That's exactly what I'm saying. He is different from a regular
Oh.
Truthwatcher Spren, but he is different in the same kind of way.
Oh, I'm disagreeing with that.
Yeah?
Yeah, because like I think like their form is usually the same and they're kind of close, but like the regular Truthwatcher Spren looks like a little glimmer of sunlight, and Gliss is a red snowflake with drops of light.
Technically, like, and when the glimmer stays in the same part, like stuff grows out of it.
Yeah, a little vine.
So that could just be like for Gliss, like that stuff growing out of it is shards of like red that looks like a snowflake.
It seemed like a lot more, like a much stronger shape transformation to me than the other ones, but that was just how I. That's how I thought about it.
It's described as like growing out of Renarin's back, Gliss, not hanging above him.
I'm gonna have to read that again. It's been a while.
I have to read
Well,
that
it's a good thing
again,
I'm rereading Oathbringer.
Yeah.
Well, I think he rises from his back.
Yeah, I don't think he was growing out of him.
And then
I read it very similarly to how like it's described in Memes Interlude, so that might just be my interpretation.
But that's what I felt like. The crystalline structures on Gliss reminded me of what we see in Yim's Interlude. And so like we take Yim's Spren and we just sharpen everything and make it red. And also make it bleed.
Just as a note on the Truthwatcher Spren, we do not know the actual name of Truthwatcher Spren, and they except that they are not Light Spren,
and they're also not Miss Spren. So
or Honor Spren.
Sure, we also don't know that.
Yeah, Oh, sorry, they're not Miss
I'm just
Spren.
goofing around.
Light Spren are the Will Shaper one. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
So I've been thinking about Truthwatcher role as from the discussion, and the thing I came up with was maybe Truthwatchers were more of like practical knowledge engineer type things, whereas like other scholarly orders like the El Scholars were more of like a theoretical historian type knowledge.
That would make sense with Renarin's interest in fabrials, like the practical application of things.
You think they might be more artificers, tinkerers?
Sure. I think that's fine enough.
Yeah.
Seems like a cool thing. Yeah.
Any other Truthwatchery thoughts? This will be a massive raffo, and we will read and we will definitely find out, because this is a big thing for the books.
Yeah, I'm just hoping Stump comes to Ethereal in the next couple of books.
I mean, I imagine she must, right?
She's got a whole year to get there.
Well,
yeah,
they don't have to go to Ethereal.
No, they
don't. I imagine that a lot of them will want, like, Dalinar will want people
to
there.
reach out.
I imagine the Spren seem to push them there, though. That doesn't need to be all Spren, of course, but
yeah, there's a strong impetus for them to go, but there's no requirement.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One interesting, small, and probably irrelevant thing is that the glyph for the Truthwatcher order on the Radiant chart looks very planty.
It does.
Yeah.
A lot more so than the Edgedancers, which was interesting to me.
Well, the Truthwatchers are associated with plants. Edgedancers aren't.
Fair.
Oh, right, with the essences.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Lightweavers. So that's one we see a lot of, obviously.
Yeah.
A whole bunch.
We have had the Lightweaver book.
We have had the Lightweaver book.
Although, to be fair, we've had the Bondsmith book as well, and, like, what do we know about them?
Yeah.
They can summon a perpendicularity. That's what I got out of that book.
Except they can't,
because
only
Dalinar.
Only this one can.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Dalinar is going to be weird anyway. So Lightweavers have illumination and transformation.
They do.
And illumination can do lots of things. They can create sounds. They can potentially illusions can have some mass. They're
maybe
pretty involved, is what I'm saying. These illusions are pretty good.
They definitely like illumination seems like the wave.
It's manipulation of waveform.
Right.
Because they have the light, they have the sound.
Sure. Sure.
Mass is a little bit of a stretch in here, but
hey,
you can.
All particles are both particles and waves.
That's what I was thinking. Honestly, is I'm like, that's a pretty broad.
Agreed, and that's what it is. Like you can make it do anything. Like, hey, gravitational waves. You just encroach on the Windrunner's territory.
Yeah.
The Lightweavers are if you're going clockwise around, the Bondsmith Windrunner is 1 unit clockwise, and then Truthwatcher Lightweaver is 1 unit clockwise, and so the Lightweavers and Windrunners are diagonal from each other on the chart.
Yes, which is interesting because their heralds were father and daughter.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. Yes.
And
Teenage daughter rebellion.
Hate each other.
That's true.
Their Spren hate each other.
Yeah.
Like really, really hate each other. Their Spren are cryptics. Cryptics do not like being called Lyspren. So
they're the releasers of the Spren.
I don't think they dislike being called Lyspren. It's just like we call ourselves cryptics.
Yeah.
Call us cryptics.
I thought they actively didn't like being called.
Yeah, I think they didn't like it.
They don't like it, but it's not like it's more of like I wish you wouldn't use that rather than like I will destroy you if you use that. It's more of a like, they don't like it, but it's not.
Okay, whatever.
It's more of a passive thing.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We certainly see a lot of illumination and very little of transformation from Shallan. Thanks, Shallan.
From Shallan,
From Shallan.
Although she was being a good student, and following her mistress's request to stay away from transformation because it's scary.
Yeah. And the Lightweavers, probably the most interesting thing is that their ideals are truths. And so they're highly individualistic. They are the most individualistic. And
they seem to be truths about themselves specifically. Yes. So a lot more into the whole self-discovery thing.
Yes.
Where a lot of the other orders, if not all of the other orders, are you are making an oath to do something in the future, or be a certain way. The Lightweavers are about internal, this is who I am, this is what I've been doing, things like that.
Yeah, it's the others are like being true to some external ideal, Lightweavers being true to themselves.
Yeah. And I think there's a wob where Brandon was saying that he was talking about Lightweavers regressing on their oaths, and he said, they're like one of the hardest to do that, but they're also one of the hardest to progress.
Yeah, because you have to be really introspective, and that's hard for people.
Yeah, there's in one of the excerpts from the In-World Rules of Radiance, there's someone who's a Lightweaver that they probably would have been better suited for one of the less introspective orders that they were having that exact issue of progressing.
Yep.
Or like the person would have liked to be in one where it was more clear cut rather than
because they were complaining about it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
One other Lightweaver that we know is now Hoyd, actual Lightweaver who's bonded a cryptic who was Elhokar's friend before Elhokar got murderated.
Who was also going to obviously be a Lightweaver.
Yes.
Yep.
We do have somebody asked Brandon recently about what Elhokar's ideals would have been, because obviously now he's dead and he doesn't have a view like a flashback. We're never going to find out.
You just spoiled book 8 where Elhokar comes back from the grave and it becomes the greatest Lightweaver ever. How dare you?
And the greatest king of Elhokar.
Yes.
Alethkar.
He has to be a good king of. He has to be a good king of Alhokar to be a good king of Alethkar.
He has
Shut
to be
up,
a good
okay.
king of Elhokar to be a good
yeah,
Lightweaver.
Lightweaver too.
You're not wrong, but shut up, okay? And so Brandon declined to give the fifth ideal because obviously that would have revealed too much about how Lightweavers in general work. But his first non-generic one would have had something to do with admitting that he was a bad king, just internalizing that knowledge and working through it.
It's very much a Lightweaver thing to not only say the words, but really internalize it. Because that's kind of the thing with Shallan in Oathbringer, that, oh, she killed her parents, and she needs to really internalize that, and that's her struggle. It's like, oh, I really didn't want to remember this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, when Lupin swears the ideal at the end of Oathbringer, he sort of tried before, but he couldn't say it and have it accepted until it was internalized. But the Lightweavers are a little different because, they're able to say the oaths, and then it's like they can say the truth without internalizing it.
It seems backwards, doesn't it?
Yeah, or without making peace with it at the very least.
Or yeah.
Yeah, it's like because the nature of the truths are so personal, like being able to internalize it is a lot more complex.
True.
Where it's like, yes, I acknowledge the fact that I killed my mother, but that doesn't mean you're okay with that fact. And that's what causes a lot of Shallan's issues.
Yeah.
It's just like, how do I not rationalize, come to terms with who am I?
Yeah.
It does seem a little backwards though, doesn't it? Where with somebody like Kaladin, he arrives at a point where he realizes that he needs to protect those who cannot protect themselves. He comes to a point where he realizes that even those he hates are included in this number. And then, once he's gotten to that point, then he says the words.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with Shallan, it's, I killed my mother. And after that, she has to deal with the consequences of finally admitting.
But I think that's more of a normal, mental health thing rather than a mechanic. Because, yes, she accepts that, she killed her mother.
Mm-hmm.
Accepting that causes this other, if it was something other than, something incredibly traumatic, like killing your mother.
Yeah.
Because, Elhokar realizing he's a bad king.
Admitting that he is a bad king.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she got to the point where she could say it. That was for her. That was kind of my thing, where she kind of she gets to the point where she can even express it, and that is almost the thing. And then she has to deal with the fallout afterward. But she's arrived at the point where she can, admit to herself that that's what happened, and she stopped denying it. She stopped blocking these memories, and she says, "I killed my mom," and she's got it. But now she's got to deal with how that makes her feel.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the idea of it being the fallout of swearing the.
Yeah.
It still feels different to me than the others. It would have felt more in line to me if she had to accept that as a truth, voice it out, doesn't matter. Learn how to live with that and accept it and internalize it, and then say words that kind of reflect this journey up until that point.
See,
but I hear you. Sure.
It's I want to mention journey before destination, but there's 2 steps I have to take before mentioning. So, okay.
It's a long journey.
Yeah, it's there needs to be a singular point where the swearing of the ideal happens.
Okay.
It's there's a before and after you swear the ideal. Coming to terms with the fact you killed your mother, that's an ongoing process. That's something she's going to have to continue dealing with for the rest of her life. There's no point at which she's okay, I am done with dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know,
So it's just like,
Wh-
go ahead.
the Lightweaver ideals, they're less truths, but confessions. I'm a bad king. I'm terrified. I killed my parents.
Yeah.
They're confessions.
Definitely. They're painful too.
Yeah. One thing I was going to say is it almost seems to me like for the Lightweavers and the Cryptics, actually saying it aloud matters kind of more to them than for the other orders. Because, like, you know,
Well-
we see in Erythru, I mean, like, Pattern was kind of the one like pushing Shalon, like, no, you need to say this. I mean, like, I feel like
The
I'm kind of
words,
getting at
Callum.
two different things,
You
but
must
like,
say the words.
Yeah, Syl pushes for him to say the words, and it's just like in
But-
Edgedancer, it's just like
Syl pushes
it's like,
him.
oh, I know the answer. Like,
They
but she still has to
push
say it.
them to say the words after they internalize them. The cryptic,
Yeah, but-
like the cryptics, kind of pushed them to say the words before that process has started. Like, I
True.
don't know.
because it's
Which-
like the ideal isn't sworn until they say it. Like
Yeah,
Kaladin and Lift couldn't summon their spread of Shardblades until
Ooh.
they said it.
Well, that's actually I don't think true because Liv says an ideal in her heart in Edgedancer. She doesn't say it out loud. She's like,
That's
I
true.
do it in my heart, and that was like that was it.
Is it not actually spoken out loud?
It's not spoken aloud. If I
Okay.
like, unless I have forgotten.
No, you
Completely.
may be right about that. Yeah,
Okay.
because Window was like, you already know.
Like someone says you didn't say the words, and she says I said them in my heart.
But then
I'll-
it's like said in her head. So like,
but my point
I
is
don't
more
like
like it almost seems like the other orders are a bit more like, okay, you've like accepted this already, now you need to say the words aloud, whereas the cryptics, you know, like from what I've seen, like the cryptics are more like, you need to say a truth, like,
No, I hear
kind
you.
of.
Like, yeah, because Kaladin realizes Elhokar is Dalinar's TN.
Yeah.
And he's like realizing it. Then he says the words. For Lightweavers, it's I'm making my confession.
Okay, so
right.
yeah.
Here's the
It's
Edgedancer
like-
thing.
Saying
We
it
want
out
to-
loud means they can't ignore it anymore.
Yeah.
So it's more of like less a mechanical difference and more it's like making sure it sticks almost.
On the Edgedancer thing, she does say it out loud, but she says the words in her heart. She summons her Shardblade for the first time, then afterwards she says the words. So
Oh,
Okay.
she got her blade. So I'm gonna assume that
it was
that may
sufficient.
trigger. Yeah, it was sufficient to move her along. And afterwards, she said it out loud so we could all know what the ideal was.
Yeah, I think it's like the saying it out loud makes it undeniable.
Right.
Sure. Lightweavers are weird.
Lightweavers are weird.
Cell does start waking up to be able to say the words. So it's like, yes, that process needed to be started before like he said the word.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So, oh, man, I don't even know where to begin on Lightweavers, even though we've been blabbing about it. Soulcasting is super weird.
Yes.
It is a very unique ability.
Very powerful too.
It is very powerful.
In fact, staggeringly so if you compare it to something like adhesion.
Hey, Adhesion does
Hey.
spiritual stuff.
But
For
it's also
bonuses.
a lot more restricted.
It's very
It's like
highly
you
restricted.
need Stormlight from a particular gem.
And
Yep.
it is also dangerous.
It's dangerous because of the Shadesmar stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, if you're a Radiant, you don't need Stormlight from
I'm
particular
pretty sure you still
touch.
do.
I
You do.
do
And it
not
has
think
said
that
it's like
is
you
the-
need
I think that's how the
both of them are still
Soulcasters work.
important.
I think that's also
I think that's the opposite. I think that he said it's important for the Soulcasters, but not for the Radiants.
It's more important for the Fabrial, but it's still like
Research time.
I know we've
Yeah.
talked about
it's like
this
we've had
before.
this conversation
Yeah,
multiple
we've had
times on the podcast. So
I have
like,
not had
I don't
this on
think
the
we should have it
podcast,
right
but-
now.
I know
We
you
don't have
don't
to.
listen to the podcast.
I'm saying I haven't been on the podcast and had this conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Why-
no, I know.
But like I've argued with Argent about this a lot.
Why can Kaladin Surgebind? The madness has stopped. We have a word of the creator himself. Why can Kaladin
Paraphrase.
Surgebind? True. With any gem, but Yasna and Shallan need specific types. A lot of that will be explained as the series comes along. It is really the difference between soulcasting and other forms of surgebinding. It's more a quirk of soulcasting, and it is something that is different. Then it is different. Then it is something different about Kaladin. So you've got it reversed a little bit. Soulcasting has this additional restriction that the others don't.
Okay, I must just be misremembering then.
Same. Because yes, we have argued.
Yes, we have. I believe. Which episode was it that we? I think it was Fabriel's that we were talking about soulcasters. I think it was that one.
From a meta perspective, that makes sense because, like, you know, the limitation of you need this specific gem adds like another interesting layer to this, like what we just said, really powerful magic. But I don't know what the in-world reason is, though. Like the real matics behind it is.
I think it's just a function of how soulcasting functions, that it needs these gems to help focus the stormlight.
It is the
have a specific
spiritual
effect.
color.
Okay, I found a WoW from 2017 that I think like minorly contradicts the one from 2013.
Let's do it.
Okay,
let's do it. We're here. It's time. That's fine.
Okay,
that's fine.
Okay. This is from Darkness.
It's a three-parter. It's
already happened.
It has. I've come to accept this.
Yeah. So this is from let's see, Supernova 2017, Sydney, Darkness. Right. So is it easier for a soulcaster to turn rock into smoke with a gemstone as opposed to a ruby? Brandon. So soulcasting is really going to depend on whether you're using a soulcaster. Darkness. First is for a soulcaster. Second is for a surgebinder. A surgebinder is far less constrained than someone using a device acting surges, right? A night radiant is far less constrained than someone using a mechanical means of accessing magic.
Less constrained, not constrained.
Well, I think it's easier, but I don't think it's impossible.
I think remembering back from our previous discussion, I remember liking the idea that soulcasting, if you're a radiant, being a soulcaster, it is much easier if you have the correct gemstones. I agree, it's probably not impossible, but it's just a lot easier if you have the right gemstones.
I would just say, like, it must be, like, or maybe it's Yasna with her, like, inability to do organics as well or something, but when Shallan is dying and Yasna is screaming for a garnet, she's not keeping up her
exactly.
Her scenes. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it must be difficult, but it still must be possible on some level.
I agree.
That's exactly what we talked about in that episode. That scene.
Little recap from Fabriel's then.
Recap from whenever we did that one.
We went over that scene like 15 times.
Oh my god!
And
I do not want to talk about the gemstones breaking in Soulcasters. We are not doing that in this episode. I do not care that much. To do.
Yeah.
But I think a reasonable explanation that we arrived at was exactly that. Yes, because one of the big factors in there is, one, Yasna is trying to maintain her role, her facade. Two, she's bad with organics, so she really wants that garnet for what she's about to do.
So, related question then, if we can turn this back into a more related or like a more on topic thing. If Yasna is better at inorganics, would someone who's like a Lightweaver be better at the more organic side of things if she has an affinity, or do we think it's like a personality, like certain people are just better at certain stuff?
I think it's just a personality thing.
I think it's a personality. Yeah.
Like Yasna is a very rigid person.
You could say
so. It's like organic molecules are very complex.
I wouldn't bring up the complexity of organic molecules. I will say,
organic material is very complex.
Sure. At the end of Oathbringer, when Shallan has done her army thing and Yasna carries her back to the city, they talk briefly about soulcasting.
Mm-hmm.
And Yasna just goes very shallowly into, well, if you're trying to soulcast stone, you must do this. If you're trying to soulcast air, you must do this. We see this with Kaza's interlude, where each essence that you are trying to soulcast requires you it's easier for you to soulcast if you are a certain way or act in a certain way or speak in a certain way and so on. And so it is very likely that a soulcaster's personality is, well, I am naturally better at just commanding things And so the essences that respond well to commands are ones where I will have an easier time soulcasting, or
Oh.
I am better at negotiating or persuading, or I am better at seducing the stone, or whatever.
But part of the issue is that, like,
Hey,
Yasna was able to soulcast the jam,
Mhm.
but like she wasn't able to. Well, that was mostly because she didn't know what strawberry jam tasted like. But it's also, yes, you have to be able to convince the object you're soulcasting to change, but it's also knowing what it needs to be changed into.
sure.
Which,
Yeah.
with organics, that's a lot more complex.
That's probably one of those things that these radiants, there's probably a few radiants who are like, yo, I studied up on organics and I know exactly what is in that, so I can create it. And if you're not as knowledgeable with that, then it's like, well, I can do essences. Essences are fine.
It would be so amazing if you could just soulcast like air into Nutella.
I would like to bring up, because Lady Lameness has talked to me about how she is very annoyed how blood soulcasting works, because not only are there blood types, there are also these other antibodies that are factors as well. I don't remember the details because I don't remember anything, but she has issues with how soulcasting blood is supposed to work. How blood's apparently pure. Blood's a lot of different things.
It's pure in the terms of the Cosmere. It's as pure as like plant matter or like flesh is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can understand her concern though.
It's a weird quirk though, because water is not like a base thing that you can soulcast. You know what I mean? Like you don't, like, you look around the thing, that's not an essence. So it's kind of just like an odd place.
Water is under blood.
I know, but I'm saying that like the baseline, you would think, oh, what's simpler? What's more core, water or blood? Water.
Yeah.
You know, that's more elemental. That's more.
To which I eventually said to her, "It's magic." Cool.
This being said, we do have a number of words of Brandon on soulcasting blood specifically, because it is so weird.
Okay.
I just don't think they're gonna. I don't think Brandon's done the research that will like at least satisfy whatever Lady Lameness knows.
Going about what we talked about with the blood and the hemalurgy episode, I definitely think Brandon has not done the research on blood and the.
But like, I don't think he needs to have done the research. Like,
I know.
I think this is just how the magic works. Like, blood is a fundamental element here.
Yeah.
Just because it's a very complex thing, like
it's just the fact that blood for one person is different than blood for another person, and if you get that wrong, they're dead.
You can't, so you can't just
dead.
They can't be just soul casting O negative all the time, like whatever the universal tone is.
There's actually some other stuff in there too. This would be the time where she should make a long comment in the video about it.
Because like, is there like just pure like neutral blood? Like, or is there always like, okay.
Yeah, well, just soul casting organics is weird. Like, what is the meat that they soul cast? What's the ideal of flesh?
Yeah.
Apparently,
it's edible.
It's edible and not much else.
Mean,
and not human.
That makes sense. It's like carbon-based life form. Like, it's going to be edible.
I would be very suspicious of eating that. Personally.
It's like schmeat, you know.
Well, they it's not like they like it. They do not like soul cast meat.
It's bland.
It's bland.
So it's chicken.
Well, it tastes like mold or something.
Let me go over a couple of blood-related wobs.
Okay. All right.
We don't need to display because they're short. Soulcast blood doesn't have rhesus factor, RH factor, or does it match anyone's DNA? The answer to that is yes. And then we have from an AMA, so verbatim. When Yasna talks about soulcasting the 8 different types of blood, which is all the way back in the Way of Kings, is she referring to transfusion typing within humans, for example, A, B, O plus or minus negative, or to different kinds of blood between species, for example, human versus axehound versus great shell versus Amian, and so on, which is a very good question, by the way.
Yes, it is.
And Brandon says both. So people on Roshar haven't hit upon the levels of complexity in blood types that we know. Did these arise naturally on Roshar? That's a raffle.
That 8 types thing did not make any sense. That was not a good response to that question. It can't be both. Like it can't be. It's either the 8 types of human blood or it's various species blood. It can't be all 8 types and.
I'm thinking that it's like
species.
once they know more, it's like they realize like, oh, it's not just 8, it's like 16 or whatever.
Yeah, but I think like the answer there should have been like in Yasna's context, she was talking about human blood. Like she's not making Axhound blood.
does
I'm thinking like at this point it's human blood and like other types of blood. Once they know more, it's like those types of blood will be split up into if singers have equivalent of A, B, and O, like that would be broken up.
I don't remember any details, but I remember it being even more complicated than just blood types. But blood types, you need more than that.
Yeah, but this isn't necessarily from like metal. It's like there's a lot of different kinds of metal. They're all covered by the essence of foil.
I guess stone too. Yeah, there's a lot of.
Yeah, you would know.
Yeah, I was just like, I should think about my field. Yeah, no.
he majored in geology. If you didn't know.
Yeah.
What else do we have to talk about Lightweavers that isn't about soulcasting?
Yeah.
The resonance. We haven't really touched on that.
Oh.
They got memory power.
Oh yeah, right. Of course.
Mnemonic devices.
Yeah, mnemonic devices.
Well,
Sure.
mnemonic abilities.
Mnemonic
Right. Sorry. You're right.
Which obviously manifests or is shown by Shallan in her ability to blink and take a memory.
Yep.
I think we can all agree that that's her resonance.
That's not
Yeah.
natural.
And then she can recreate perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also kind of see this with Tien when he carves like the miniature horse.
Mm-hmm.
The perfect chorus. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the idea of it being in different media. That's kind of cool because Shallan's like a sketcher and Tien is like does woodworking, and so it might be a musician or something.
Yeah.
In case you forgot, Tien was going to be a Lightweaver.
Yeah.
And then he also died.
And then he died. Yes.
Doesn't make me very
Lightweavers have a really bad track record.
I do think, I think the phrase is various mnemonic things, so like it could be interesting to see how they differ, like how a musician that would manifest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh
Like-
yeah, that would be super
Mhm.
cool.
I mean, like the mechanics of, like, even if it's just, I can remember this tune exactly and play it later, like the mechanics of how do you, like, you can't blink. I mean, I suppose you could. It'd be a bit weird.
It's
like
really interesting to think of a musician Lightweaver being really awesome with sounds, but very bad, or it takes so much more effort to do the visual things.
Yeah.
Where
Just
Shallan's very
sticky fingers.
visual and has no problem with that. That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
It's like they would also be able to like
Yeah.
remember a conversation.
Ooh.
Because
Yeah.
because we know Lightweavers. I mean, Lightweavers were very artistic, but they weren't all painters. They were like They weren't all sketches. They were like performers, musicians, actors, probably
Mhm.
like writers of stories, that sort of thing. So
Or when you said performance, maybe you can see, not even a play, just a scene, and then have like a video recollection of exactly where people were and what they were doing.
Mhm.
So less take a photo and more take a video type of thing.
Lightweavers are great directors.
And then they can recreate it
Yeah.
with Lightweaving.
With enough Stormlight.
With enough investiture.
Special effects are going to be so cheap on Roshar later.
Yes, they are.
All you need is that Stormlight. Anything else on Lightweavers? Do we have some idea of additional truths, or I don't know.
For Shallan?
I think Shallan's last one will be I am Shallan Colin.
So that's yeah.
Yeah.
I hope he.
That's an idea I've seen gather following.
Yeah, he has to be careful with that because I think that come across a little corny if he doesn't like build to that, where he's like, "I am me," and you're like,
well,
"Yep,
literally one of the
way to go."
the truths is I'm terrified. Okay, the bar's low.
I don't think that's one of the truths.
We've fought over this before, and we probably will again.
Yeah, it's like I don't think we should get into that.
We just need Brandon to canonize what exact things were the truth for Shallan.
I think it's difficult. So one thing that's difficult with Shallan is that she swore
She
truths when
regressed.
she was really young as well. So
Yeah.
like it's a very odd scenario with her as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it makes me grateful for Kaladin that we saw one normal progression. Some regular
you are a normal Windrunner. You're
like-
not some corrupted, void-bindy Windrunner.
Yeah,
and
you don't have
crap.
you don't have an insane sword that like you're just a regular Surgebinder.
Yeah,
You don't have cultivation. Making you suck Stormlight. Like everyone's got something different except for Kaladin.
That's a really freaking good point. Kaladin's a normal Nice Radiant.
It is,
Holy
actually.
crap.
So is Yasna, but we also don't get into Yasna's head very much.
Maybe there is weird stuff. Who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like-
That is Yasna's lunacy thing.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just thinking about that.
Yeah.
And she does in the prologue of Words of Radiance,
yeah.
where she falls into Shadesmar ?
It's weird.
What is it like? She's not soulcasting there. She's walking in the hallway, and then her shadow goes weird.
Isn't she
And-
transitioning into Shadesmar via Else Calling?
But
Yeah.
she wasn't sucking Stormlight.
Well, Kaladin
Well, she
didn't mean to be sucking
probably
Stormlight
was,
when he
but-
redirected the arrows into the bridge, or when it
It
was
just
probably
was kind of
instinctual.
instinctive.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I thought. But
There's all sorts of instinctive uses of magic. That's not that
Oh
unusual.
yeah, okay.
Also,
But it's like
I
very
also-
early in her bond.
Yeah,
was-
and I also always got the impression from the scene that like Ivory was sort of testing her and kind of had something to do with it.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely that, but it's such a weird thing that happens.
mhm. Yeah, I do think the shadow thing is just she's entering Shadesmar and shadows behave weirdly there, so she's noticing that. But
Sure, yeah.
one thing that is worth noting though is that among the Lightweavers, they cannot enter Shadesmar on their own to do the soul casting in the same way someone like the Else Callers could. So they can peer into it, they can view in there, and they can do their soul casting like we see Shallan do, but they cannot truly enter the cognitive realm like that.
Yeah,
in the same
Yasna
way.
literally enters the cognitive realm and then needs to leave the cognitive
Mhm.
realm. And
She fully transitions,
right.
Well,
Exactly.
whereas yes,
if she wants to.
if she wants to,
If she
yes.
wants to.
She can.
She can also
So-
just look in. Like Kaladin can kind of look into Shadesmar. He does that at one point in Words of Radiance briefly.
That's
but-
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think when Yasna soulcasts, I don't think she needs to actually move there at
Mhm.
all.
No,
No, but it was just worth pointing out that Shallan, Yasna can do that if she wants to. Like that's what she did when she escaped. But Shallan literally doesn't have that as an option.
Right.
Yeah, but
Because it's
her
a separate
escape had-
power.
Her escape had nothing to do with soulcasting. She was literally just else calling.
I
Yeah.
understand that. I'm just making the distinction so people don't think Shallan can enter Shadesmar via
Yep.
soul casting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a peering, which for the record is weird because
Mhm.
it feels like Shallan is in Shadesmar, right? But
Uh-huh.
is not like in Shadesmar.
There's a
Yeah.
part of me that kind of feels like at the end of Way of Kings, Brandon might not have fully solidified that Shallan could not enter Shadesmar fully, and then later realized that she shouldn't be able to, and kind of clarified that in the beginning of Words of Radiance, because Yasna seems to think that Yasna chides her for going in, and then later Brandon's like, oh yeah, you can get spiritual damage, but I think initially we might have, because she sinks into the beads and all that stuff. I think it's really
Yeah,
it is
here's
maybe-
the-
weird.
well, it's is that any different than? I think it's very similar to how Spren are echoed onto the physical realm.
Yeah,
Where
that's
it's
true.
So it's just
Yeah.
it would be dangerous. She could still die in Shadesmar, even though her body technically is still in the physical.
Yeah.
I think it still is dangerous. Yeah, I just don't.
Absolutely.
It was just something that I
Her
think
mind
Brandon-
has transitioned,
Mhm.
Yeah,
but
it's
not her
less-
body.
it's less about looking into the cognitive and more there's one word of Brandon where Brandon uses astral projection as
Okay. Yeah.
as a
You're projecting yourself into the.
yeah, so it's normally the way we think about the different realms is you exist kind of solidly in one, and maybe in the case of Spren there's a little bit of you in the other. I
Mhm.
think with soulcasting there is you are in both. You exist fully in both, and you can It's astral projection. Okay, it's what
Yeah.
it is. I'm trying to explain astral projection, and no, it's astral projection.
I
right?
think that you know what the answer is, Evgeni?
Spiritual mumbo jumbo.
Cognitive mumbo jumbo.
Oh.
Good sir.
I thought you were gonna say space whales again, but
I do. You know what? I do want to see space whales in Shadesmar. That sounds amazing.
They wouldn't be space whales.
it's kind of what the
We
Madra
technically
is,
see
though.
space whales in Shadesmar. The Mandra.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
Shade
Yeah.
whales.
Shade whales.
Anyway, but in the Way of Kings, it was weird how, I mean, in retrospect, not that weird. When Shallan does the soul casting that Yasna has to come and save her from, because she only transitions with one sphere, and that one is near expiration as well, which I don't understand how any of that is important. But she does that, and like she's drowning in the beads, and then Yasna shows up. Oh, that was in the hospital, wasn't it? And
No, it was in.
it's when Shalom like confronts her and it's like, your soulcaster is fake, and
And then uses it. Yeah. It's not the
Yeah.
goblet.
okay,
changing.
yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, but Yasna shows up on a raft made of beads and pulls Shallan onto the raft, and then both of them
Go back.
leave their astral projections and go back to their physical bodies, and Shallan sees the physical world come back into focus, and Yasna is just sitting there composed, and then opens her eyes, which is what I would expect from somebody who's doing astral projection stuff, right?
Yeah.
But at a moment it felt weird to me that they would both they could have this adventure in Shadesmar with their astral bodies and then go back and have that thing be real, when in fact it makes sense. Like, they were actually, quote unquote, there in Shadesmar. Like, there were beads that their astral bodies were touching, and so on.
Shadesmar's weird.
I'm not sure I understand your point.
It is not just about looking into the cognitive realm. You are sending an actual thing, like an actual construct of your mind, I guess, in there.
Okay.
And if there are other people or other constructs in the same place at the same time, you can interact with those as well. Like, you're not viewing a pristine copy of the cognitive realm and you go, oh, I want this bead to turn into that thing. You are actually transitioning.
Some part of you is entering, which is interesting, because I think that would make the Lightweavers a little more vulnerable, because, you know, if Yasna wants to soulcast something, she can go into Shadesmar and be there and be okay, but Shallan has to be like she's vulnerable in the cognitive realm, and she's just sitting there in the physical realm, like with her eyes closed, doing nothing.
Well,
So they're in Words of Radiance. Like, she gets to the point where it's like she can see both. Like,
I thought that was. Can she see both?
yeah.
What was that?
What kind of overlaid?
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought that was
like
just the end of Oathbringer. I didn't realize that there was a point where she was looking at both.
No.
Okay, cool.
It was after the shipwreck, and she was trying to soulcast fire.
You're right.
The infamous stick scene, right?
I actually skip that part every time because I hate it. So everyone who loves stick, I'm the opposite of that. So
yeah, I'm not a fan of that. But yeah, she was.
I can't believe you
She
didn't.
was trying to see that, and she was slowly, like, the physical world was slowly moving away, and the cognitive was slowly appearing, and then she went too far, and she was like, "No, I've gone too far," and she had to back off.
Oh,
So she was trying to find this balance where both of her aspects were active at the same time.
Oh, good.
Oh.
I really need to see a soulcasting master actually soulcast from their point of view. I need this. This is so weird.
Book
Cosmo?
I
10
mean,
is
technically,
supposed to
don't we
be
see
Yasna's
Yasna
book.
do that?
From her point of view?
I think so. She talks about how it's like, it's so easier with the.
We don't see
Boundary
it while
between
she's
worlds.
soulcasting, I don't think. We see it like
do.
in the aftermath. She's thinking about it or something.
Well,
We
no?
do. No, we do.
Yeah.
We absolutely
do,
see
yeah.
her.
Oh, yeah, we do.
She
Yeah, like, we see her make the steps that she walks up.
Well,
yeah.
Out of air.
Oh yeah, I don't like that thing either, because she's saying individual axis of air.
axis of
Oh,
air.
right. The
Yeah,
axis.
that makes no sense. But whatever. Either
yes.
X is an atom or it's a molecule.
It's an atom.
Well,
Let's go.
hey guys, remember when we were like, we can get through 4?
Almost.
We said that. You did not say that on the podcast.
So we must have gone slower then, honestly.
We did. We spent a freaking half hour on Edgedancers.
You said we just spent a while at the end, I think, on Truthwatchers and Lightweavers.
We have a problem. Send help.
We got look. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna talk about Else Callers, but not Soulcasting. We're done with that. We're not gonna talk about Soulcasting in the next one, really. We talked about Soulcasting, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. As
And
much as I want to.
yeah, Soulcasting is starting to be one of those things that I'm like, I just don't care anymore until we see more.
Like
just,
time bubbles.
Yeah, a little bit. It's not quite that bad for me yet, but yes. So before this podcast slips into Shadesmar, because we're getting a little robot-y, let's do Who's That Cosmere Character?
This character is from Roshar.
Menace.
Tien.
Tom.
Raise.
Void in drag on a horse.
It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character? Caw.
You guys send an email to who's that cosmere character at gmail.com with 5 clues in a character. I read the clues loud one at a time, and our panelists get a chance to guess after each clue who's that cosmere character. Begin.
Yep. All right. What do we got? Will David just be a god and just get to the one immediately to save us from overflowing into 2 hours?
And disconnect immediately after that.
Yeah.
This one
No.
was sent in by Striker Easy.
Again?
The first clue 1. This character is from Roshar.
Of course, yes.
Sure blood.
It is not Sureblood.
Kaza.
It is not Kaza.
What about Heb from Dalinar's Vision?
It is not Heb.
Oh,
I'm
damn.
gonna go with Have, Kaladin's mentor. Yes, his sergeant.
is-
Yes.
It is not Have.
Was it
Clue
Sergeant or
2.
Captain?
I don't remember. I think Sergeant.
Probably
Clue
Sergeant,
2.
It was Sergeant.
This character has a sibling.
Oh crap.
yeah.
The
Now is your-
Stormfather.
It is not the Stormfather.
Is it the sibling?
It is not the sibling.
I mean, you
Is
know.
it the Night Watcher?
It is not the Night Watcher.
Damn it.
Okay, we've closed out one option entirely. Everybody
We
go.
did it. We did it.
What about Tent Wickham, Shalon's brother?
It is not Wickham.
Damn.
Clue 3. This character is ambitious.
Can't be ambition. Oh.
I mean, you laugh, but like she said ambitious, and my brain immediately.
will die. Yeah, seriously though.
Is it Donlan? Danlin.
It is not Danlan.
That, by the way, was the character I wanted to guess previous episode when I said that I can't remember the name of that character.
Oh, okay.
That's the one. Yeah,
Danlin Maragothian.
because I remember there was a great piece of fan art that we have in the Copper Mine, actually, of somebody who did. Denlan.
Yeah,
I love the
yeah.
fan art of the really specific side characters. You're like, nice, that is so cool looking.
Right,
What is that?
somebody
Yeah,
you see only once.
Mm-hmm.
Has a sibling from Roshar, ambitious.
ambitious.
Is it Gavilar?
It is not Gavilar.
Well,
That's a
yeah.
guess.
Sigzil?
It is not Sigzil.
Does he have a brother?
Is he
Oh,
ambitious?
Or
I mean, I
he's a
felt like
Windrunner.
no. I felt the whole like he was trying to get into whatever government
Oh.
role.
Oh, was it the Black Caps?
No,
Right?
that was
No, no,
Scar.
no.
Oh, that's the other one.
Sigzil,
That's Scar.
Sigzil was studying for university entrance exams or something.
Was it university? He was studying for some government position.
Yeah,
and
whatever it was. I don't
I
know.
felt that could be interpreted as ambition, but I don't know if
Okay.
he has
Are you
siblings.
you guys having trouble as well just going through Radiance because we've been blabbing about Radiance for so long and just being like, oh wait, what about if it's not a Radiance?
Oh, I'm just not even
I
thinking.
mean, I haven't guessed it Radiant, yes.
I'm
Yet,
pushing
so,
Radiance
yeah.
out of my brain. I'm done with that.
Oh yeah,
It's over.
yeah. If anything, I'm looking for people who are not.
Yeah. I just can't think of anyone who's not a Radiant right now who has a sibling.
You can guess
and
Kaladin.
is ambitious.
Who's ambitious?
He went from a Dark Eyes to a Lord.
Just following that pyramid scheme.
You
Yeah,
know
he
what?
sounds like
I'm
the
just gonna go
social
with
ability.
Adolin. He has a sibling.
It is not Adolin.
If you like look at things in the right way, maybe you might consider him maybe ambitious, but probably
Yeah,
not.
because he doesn't
I
want
mean,
to be
he
king.
specifically refuses to be king. That's like as
In a
unambitious
very
as you can get.
specific way. He wants to be
Well.
the best duelist, okay?
All right.
Okay, so we fell into Shadesmar. I have absolutely no idea what clue you were trying to say. It was Discord's fault, not my internet. My internet was fine, for the record.
Alright. Clue 4. This character uses questionable methods to help their people.
Graves.
It is not Graves.
Graves doesn't have a sibling.
I don't know. I don't think Danlin did either.
Benley.
So.
It is Venley.
Oh, that's good. All right.
one.
All right, I
And
like that. That's
Clue
good.
5 was this character is a listener. So it was a
Yeah.
radiant.
But
Maybe.
we haven't gotten. But I was only thinking of the other.
Definitely a radiant.
I wasn't thinking of Will Shapers yet because we hadn't gotten there yet.
Okay,
Yeah, we haven't
it's-
covered these orders.
I'm gonna say really quick, another asterisk on a main Radiant character. One of the first singer Radiants ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how much is Venley's experience indicative of the Will Shaper experience?
You know, the Will Shaper experience is definitely when there's a theme park of Roshar. I want the Will Shaper experience to be like a theme park ride. The Will Shaper experience. Go exploring. I like the part that we're talking about this when we have not talked about the Will Shapers at all on this episode.
Little
I
preview.
mean, this is about as much as we can talk about him anyway. So,
You think that? You think that? We'll
Oh, no, I
see,
think
good
this-
sir. Let's find all the words of Brandon. Let's pad that to an hour. No, we're not going to do that. One more
Alright.
episode.
but we could.
All right.
Good.
Next one. That was a good one. I really like that.
No, it's a good one.
Ambitious Venley for sure.
This one is also from Ventil.
Okay.
It's the last episode all over again.
Yes. This
Okay.
character is female.
Eshonai.
Eshonai.
It is not Eshonai.
You finish first.
Yeah, I did finish first.
I'm
Let's
gonna
see.
keep that as my guess because
Uh,
we said it at the same time.
Yeah. The record will show that you were definitely second. In saying this.
Let's think. What about
Maya.
Navani?
It is not Maya.
Navani.
It is not Navani.
Okay.
Clue 2. This character has a child.
Well,
The
Yasna.
Watcher.
Yasna.
It is not Yasna.
as a child?
Wait, why did I guess Yasna when I was thinking
Yeah,
Aesudan?
why?
Yeah, I
And
said
wait,
I said Aesudan. That was
it's
my
so
guess.
confused.
It is not Aesudan. Did you say something, Ian?
I said Night Watcher.
It is not the Night Watch. Like 3 of you all spoke at the same time, so I
We
was
all had a
like-
good idea.
and all I heard was Yasna. So
The one that definitely doesn't. Why did I think Yasna instead?
That's a plot twist.
I was like, oh, Elhokar has a son? Yes. No.
Not Game of Thrones, Eric.
We've been recording for a long time today.
Getting a little loopy here.
I'm a little bit.
At least
I
we fed
haven't
him
guessed
earlier.
yet. I vow to guess something that's not on Roshar.
Oh, crap. That's
Oh,
not
did
a
they
clue.
not say? Oh, I always
Oh,
assume.
shoot.
Okay.
Crap.
I will do that while I still can, because one of the next clues is going to
Next
be.
clue is going to be this character's from Roshar.
Let's see. What other worlds exist in the Cosmere?
Picks up from a Brodai.
I don't know anybody from Overdie.
What about
Oh,
Vax?
there's a female avatar there.
The female avatar on Obradai.
Clue 3. This character is from Vax.
No.
No.
The avatar, the female avatar of the underground caverns,
Of Amia?
who are actually on Vax.
Ooh, people forget
That's his
about that one a lot.
guess.
No.
Yeah, cool.
Nope, I give up. Janat.
It is not Janat.
Wait, I forgot what the clues are now. That
Oh,
it's not
Gianna's
Rashar.
a good guess, though. I like that.
Female has a child. Okay.
All
Clue
right.
3. This character died suspiciously.
Ooh. Does Vin's mom count?
We don't know how she died.
She died.
Suspiciously.
She died after stabbing her infant daughter through the heart.
It is not Vin's mom.
Well,
Okay.
sometime after.
At some point.
But what does suspiciously mean?
What does it mean to have a child?
What is yeah? What does it mean? Like,
And
When-
Shalon
when-
is Yasna's child.
would Shalon's mom be considered killed suspiciously because people
Oh, yeah.
don't know that she was killed by Shalon? But do we currently consider that suspicious because we know the answer?
Would you like to
I
guess
would
Shalon's
consider
mom?
that suspicious personally.
Okay, great.
It is not Shalon's mother though.
That's
Oh, that
not
was
my
a good
guess.
guess.
That's not
Oh.
my guess.
Well, too late now.
That is not my guess. I was saying a hypothetical. I never guessed. That. Okay.
Okay.
The record will
Fine.
show.
Okay. We'll give Erica an extra guess.
Okay, I'm gonna metagame this, and so I'll go back to when Grace said that she doesn't know whether we're gonna like this,
Ooh,
and I
that's good.
will
I like that.
I
I like the
I will
strategy.
I will guess something that technically, by some wild interpretation, might fit the clues,
Okay, great. I like this.
Do you have an idea?
and go with the All Mother.
It is not the All Mother.
Oh.
Damn it!
Does she die suspiciously?
Not on screen. Well, I guess maybe the first time. We don't know about that one, but
And
Yeah.
still, I'm focused on Roshar, even though it literally does not need to be on Roshar.
No, it is so difficult. to
they've got
do.
more characters is the only thing. So statistically,
I know. Statistically, it's a good bet, but
Like half the reason I guessed that is because it is a character from another world. Like
I'm gonna guess.
Shalon's second mom.
That's not suspicious. You know what? I am gonna guess Melise Kevlar because that's
It is.
Skele-
It is not Melise.
she's not dead though.
yeah, she is.
She is.
Lynn killed her
She
right before
definitely
Shalon
is.
killed him. He
Yeah.
beat her to death.
Yeah,
We see her dead body, and we're
and she's
debating.
legit
And
dead.
And Shalon tells Yasna she's dead in The Way of Kings. Yeah, what-
I thought he just beat her to a pulp and then she escaped.
No.
No, she's
she's dead.
He
dead.
killed her.
No,
Oh.
because Shalon says the
Oh.
lie has become the truth. He never killed his wife the first time, but the second time he did.
Yeah.
So
Susabron's
Sure.
mom?
Yes, it is Susabron's mom.
Oh, all right. You
Wait, she
were close.
died?
I was.
Clue 4 is this character read her child's stories.
That would have been...
Or no, it's read her child stories. Like,
Oh, okay.
sorry, I misread that.
That's fine.
I was
We've
like,
been
wait.
recording a long time.
And 5, this character is Halandrin.
We don't even. You are right, Grace, in that I did not like that one, but
Why don't you like it? Please,
because we don't know his mom is dead. She just isn't around now. And they probably didn't want his regular common mom raising the god.
I
King.
mean, he is 50 years old. She's probably dead at this point.
Well, is that mysterious? She just died
No,
of old age then.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like the
bad luck.
suspicious part, like, I'm not sold on that.
She definitely probably vanished suspiciously.
Yeah, like if
Yeah.
it's vanished suspiciously. It was close. Welcome to Shardcast, where we workshop your Who's That Cosmere characters.
That you were so kind to send in.
Yes, you're so
Yeah,
kind.
thank you for sending it in.
Yes.
3 out of 10.
Wow, wow. Well, okay,
Not-
Evgeni doesn't like it.
Not even a
Unless
name
he's
character.
just describing how many orders we got through today. That's always possible.
3 out of
boy.
10. Maybe
That
next.
was 10 out of 10.
That was a good joke. Oh, I liked that a great deal. All right, guys. Well, we got through 6 orders.
Coppermind says that Susabron remarks that the way she died is suspicious.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Really?
So they probably took that directly from the Coppermind.
Sure.
I'm gonna need a notarized citation on that one, but I imagine that is probably true. That we just forgot from Warbreaker.
It's possible. Now I'm gonna go look.
As far
It's
as the
been a
list of things to reread, Warbreaker of Brandon's books, Warbreaker's pretty low on the list.
Well, if we have this
I'm waiting
sequel-
for the anniversary edition.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
Yeah.
This year, 2019, in theory,
If there's paper.
Yeah.
if there's paper, yeah. Look, the goal would be holiday 2019. Yep.
They more or less hit it.
The spiritual ideal of the release date.
They didn't have the right gemstones to soulcast paper, so there's a big paper shortage. That all those gemstones broke.
Right.
All those emeralds.
Yep.
Yep.
Not enough ink spread around.
FossilSafetyShow.com for all your news, fun, theories, and fun. Join our Discord where you can ping us and talk about your thoughts about soulcasting and other things. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube, and leave us a review on iTunes. And next time, we will finish the frickin' Knights Radiant.
Most likely.
It will not be 4 episodes. I refuse. We're not going to go down in our productivity.
Yeah.
The
there's
Stonewards
no
and
way-
Will Shapers are short.
Mm-hmm.
Just means there's more for us to speculate about, Eric.
No.
Yeah, there's definitely no way we could spend an hour talking about just the Bondsmith. That seems impossible.
It's impossible.
That's shut up. Bye.
Bye.
Farewell.
Bye.
Caw.